All right, so first off, say all praise to Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of Holy Spirit. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the prophets of doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. All right, let's get this fair use statement really quick. All right, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All rights and credit go directly to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement is intended. All right, so we're right back on the heels of the previous video of the same title. All right, well, we're speaking about the MotB and the systems that are being put into place to funnel people in line, okay, to make you get in line and be more willing and accepting of this thing that they're going to bring on the scene, all right, regardless if they deny it, regardless if AI denies it, all right. The Lord, through the scriptures and through the spirit and power, we have the understanding of the scriptures. All right. The Lord, through the scriptures, has told us that this MotB is indeed on its way. All right. This is what we are looking for. This is the next prophecy that we are looking for. All right. So let's go ahead and read Revelation 13, verse 16 and 17. It reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." All right, especially after what we read about in the previous video about targeted populations, okay, rich and poor, free and bond. All right, speaking about the people in the jail systems here, okay, they're going to be presented with this thing, and certain private businesses are going to be presented with this thing, and then on to the population, all right, the public, okay. The two examples that we give, the one in the right hand, you could look at the example of Walletmore, which is Walletmor. All right, you can go look at that technology. That is one word, okay. Another one, as far as the MotB in the forehead, all right, you can look at Neuralink or Elon Musk's brain technology. Okay, these are the two examples that are most popular. It is important to go look at the technology and filter that through the scriptures, okay, because there are going to be many competitors of these two examples that we give. So there are many already, right? There are many competitors already of these two examples, okay? So let's get back to the reading here. Actually, before we do that, let's see. Okay, let's visit 1 Corinthians again, like we did in the previous video. This time we're going to go to chapter 2. All right, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, and verses 4 and 5. It says, "And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai." How do we speak about the things that are not yet here yet? How do we know what the man that is in power of this place is planning? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. And this is what we preach to the world about, whether you hear or forbear. All right? Okay? So, let's go ahead and get back to some reading. Okay? The next thing I typed in to Google AI is, how is the TSA confirmed ID voluntary if you are forced into the position to acquire such an ID to travel by air? All right. Simple question. Why do you even call it voluntary if you are forcing people to be in that position? All right. Why is that word even being used? Because these people are deceptive, crafty, okay, devious. All right. They hide their plans from you. The Lord tells you his plans plainly, okay, in these scriptures. And if you don't understand it by reading the scriptures, guess what? The Lord, if he deems you worthy enough, will allow your ears to hear and understand when men, the men that he put here on this earth, the pastors after his own heart that lead you to wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all right, he will allow you to listen, all right? He will give you the ears to hear, all right, and the eyes to see, okay? So, voluntary. Again, these people try to hide their plans, okay? They'll tell you one thing, and then with their actions, it'll be something totally different. All right, they are contrary to the Lord. So it says the term voluntary in the context of TSA confirm ID refers to it being an optional alternative to presenting a standard government mandated ID. And again, we are talking about digital IDs, but these same talking points, the same coercion, right, these same words, the same convenience, peace, and safety that these people always speak about are going to be used in that time. All right, the same talking points. All right. So it says, while you are indeed required to prove your identity to fly, you are not forced specifically to use confirm ID. You are only required to use it if you have failed to obtain or bring a primary compliant ID. All right? And it's really important to listen to the language that these people use, all right, to see how deceptive they are. So it says how TSA defines voluntary choice. TSA frames the system as voluntary because travelers have several other legal ways to meet identity requirements without using the specific service. So I'll just pull it up here. In Revelation 13 and 17, it says, "In that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark." All right, it says that the mark is what this man is going to causeth all to get. All right, so it's going to be a choice, but it's not really a choice. Okay? You're not going to be able to buy or sell if you don't receive this thing. You think they care about that? All right, they want you on their side. All right, they want you to choose them. If not, they want you to choose death. Okay, they don't care about you anyway. They care about them ruling. They care about them being the Most High or being treated like the Most High. All right, let me actually get this other verse. All right, Psalm 49 and 11. All right, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. Okay, they call their lands after their own names. Psalm 64 and 6. All right, you can even read this. All right, they search out iniquities. Okay, with this being a deep surveillance tool, okay, a lot of people are going to get caught up in the things that they bring out. All right, they're going to blackmail people, coerce them due to the things that they blackmail them with, all right, to go along with the plan, to help push their plan. Otherwise, we're going to expose you, okay? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep, okay? Many ways that they're going to coerce people, man. And if they have nothing on you, all right, they're going to make threats, and they're not going to be empty threats, okay? They're not going to be empty threats. All right, so again, standard compliance, it says here. Well, hold on, let me go back and read this. TSA frames the system as voluntary because TSA frames the system as voluntary because Travelers have several other legal ways to meet identity requirements without using this specific service. So, if you don't want the MOTB through one of the two examples that we give, Walletmore and Neuralink, then you can go to another competitor of those two things and get your micro C-hip. But you are going to get the micro C-hip. You see what's going on here? Okay? So is it a choice? It's not really a choice. You're going to receive this thing, okay? All right, so standard compliance. It says you can choose to get a real ID, compliant driver's license, or state ID indicated by a star in the corner. Now, I pray, all right, that the confusion isn't setting in. What we're doing is drawing similitudes between what the words that they use, again, to coerce and convince you that the digital ID is the way to go. They're going to use these same things over when it comes to the MOTB. All right. And that's what you should worry about. The mark of the beast, the micro C-hip, is the mark of the beast. This digital ID right here, right, the thing on your phone or your ID, all right, it's not the MOTB. All this is another filtering. They're trying to get you funneled into, all right, ease you into taking this MOTB. All right, all the roads are leading to this micro C-hip. All right, again, regardless of if they deny it, regardless of if AI denies it or not, this is where it's going. Okay. So alternative acceptable IDs. It says you can use any of over a dozen other free or existing documents such as a U.S. passport, passport card, military ID, or permanent resident card. It says the safety net option. TSA Confirm ID is technically a safety net for those who do not have any of the above. It is a voluntary service. You can pay $45 to attempt identity verification through biographic and biometric checks if you are otherwise ineligible to fly. Okay, and that price can go up, and that price going up, all right, is something else that they're going to use to pinch you. All right, it's going to be used as a pinch to get you to realize that you can't keep affording these little fees. Well, I'm not going to say little fees, these fees in order to travel. Okay. So one way or another, you're going to choose, you're going to make the choice to receive this MOTB because it's going to put a big demand on you. All right. Okay. These fees are going to put the pinch on you. All right. They're going to put some stress on you. Okay. They could use it that way. They could use these fees that way also. Okay. More than likely that is going to happen. All right. So it says the forced position argument. It says from a policy perspective, the force you describe comes from the Real ID Act, which has been fully enforced for domestic flights since May 7, 2025. Choice of compliance. It says the government argues you are not forced into confirm ID because you had years to obtain a real ID, often at a lower cost than the $45 fee. These people are out of their mind, man. Lunatics. Okay. Consequence of declining. All right. Consequence of declining. It says if you choose not to get a real ID and not to pay for confirm ID, the voluntary nature ends at the security checkpoint. You may be denied entry and miss your flight. All right. All right, cost shifting. It says TSA explicitly states that the $45 fee is to ensure that the cost of verifying non-compliant travelers is paid by the traveler themselves rather than by taxpayers. In summary, TSA considers the system voluntary because it is an optional workaround for a requirement that has multiple other standard paths to compliance. All right. Let me see. Damn computer always want to shut off when I get on my reading. All right. So the next thing I plugged in, let me check this time. All right, I still got time. So the next thing I plugged in was, in this context, these prices could easily go up, correct? That was a question, okay? Then I put also, did the people of this democratic nation vote this digital ID mandate in, or was it imposed on the people without consent? Very important questions, or very important things to keep in mind here. All right. So it says, yes, it is factually correct that these prices can increase, and legislative history shows that these mandates were not directly voted on by the public. Okay. Let me see something really quick here. Etymology of democracy. Let's see what it says here.
Democracy.
Doesn't have anything about the etymology. It says late 15th century, from French democratie, via late Latin from Greek demokratia, from demos, the people, or power rule. So really the power and the rule are supposed to be with the people, all right? But you just heard what it said there, okay? It said, legislative history shows that these mandates were not directly voted on by the public, all right? Again, these people are sneaky, crafty, deceptive, all right? They try to sneak shit in, all right? If you think you're passing a bill that sounds good, hey, there's more in that paperwork, all right? There's more in there, okay? That they just try to slide by the people, to tighten their grip, to speak like a dragon, all right? Them draconian laws that just tighten up on the people, okay? What is the root word of the word democracy? The word democracy comes from two ancient Greek roots, demos, meaning the people or common people, and kratos, meaning power or rule, literally translating to rule by the people or power of the people. This term originated in ancient Athens to describe their system where citizens held governing power, forming the basis for modern concepts of popular governance. I once heard somebody say that a democracy is like two wolves and a sheep voting on what to have for dinner or for lunch. Okay, two wolves and a sheep. All right, and the people are the sheep. Okay, the people are the sheep, and these governmental powers, left and right, or whatever you want to call them, all right, these are the wolves. Okay, I've heard the same saying that says a republic is the same thing, except for the sheep has a blicky. All right, so if you can understand what I was just saying. All right, so let's go back here. So let me read that again. Yes, it is factually correct that these prices can increase, and legislative history shows that these mandates were not directly voted on by the people. All right, potential for fee increases. says under federal law, the TSA is required to review its user fees at least every 2 years. If the cost of providing the service increases, the agency has the authority to raise the fee to ensure full cost recovery from the users rather than taxpayers. Now, why don't wages go up? All right, these companies, these corporations, they can raise increases in these fees, but why does not wages go up? All right. So it says a precedent for hikes. It says the current $45 fee for TSA Confirm ID, effective February 1 of 2026, is already a 150% increase from the original $18 fee proposed just a few months prior in 2025. Man, making money hand over fist, right? Let's before I say that, let me see what that looks like. What is meant by making money hand over fist? Let's see. What is meant by, hold on. Oh, let's see. What does making money hand over fist mean? Making money hand over fist is an idiom describing earning a large amount of money very quickly, easily, and continuously. It signifies rapid, massive financial gain or occasionally rapid loss, often used in business context to describe high volume, quick profits. Okay? All right, this is what it's about. These damn devils, man. Okay. Let's get back here to the reading. All right. Justification. It says the TSA justifies these increases by stating that initial projections underestimated the expenses of identity verification, or IT infrastructure, and biometric data management. Number 2, it says, was the mandate voted on? It says the democratic nature of the Real ID mandate is a subject of significant debate. It was not a ballot measure voted on by the American public, nor was it a standalone bill that received individual debate in the Senate. Passed as a rider, the Real ID Act of 2005 was attached as a legislative rider, RIDER, to a must-pass emergency appropriations bill for Iraq war funding and tsunami relief. This maneuver allowed it to pass without a separate substantive debate or a specific vote in the Senate. No direct consent. Critics and civil liberties groups have long argued this process was undemocratic, as it bypassed traditional committee hearings and public scrutiny for a law with such far-reaching impact. State resistance. It says many state legislators, including Maine, Utah, and Washington, initially passed their own laws refusing to comply with Real ID, calling it a violation of the 10th Amendment and an unfunded mandate. However, over nearly 20 years, federal pressure, such as the threat of barring citizens from flights, eventually forced every state to comply. This shit makes me sick, man. Let me look at this really quick. Not that I care, because I know what the Lord has in store for us, but just to see how these people operate, these conniving ass motherfuckers, man. What was I about to look up here? Give me a second. Mm. Let me read that again and see if it comes back. State resistance. Many state legislatures, including Maine, Utah, and Washington, initially passed their own laws refusing to comply. Oh, I know what it is. It was a scripture. Um, all right, let's see. Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. And that last part talks about like bribery, a gift, someone giving you a gift to corrupt the truth, okay, to corrupt your mind. All right, this is why Esau pretends to help you in a lot of situations. All right, then you feel like you're grateful to him for everything that they've done, when really they haven't given you shit, man. They keep taking from you. Okay, that first part, all right, that reminded me of the feeling that I got just in reading what we're reading. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. Let's go in here and look at this word for oppression.
Strong's H6233. Oshik. Oshik.
Oh shit. All right. Oppression, extortion, injury. All right. Gain by extortion, fraud. All right. Unjust gain. A thing deceitfully gotten. Man, there is a root word here too. Let's look at this. Here's a root word.
Strong's H6231. Ashak. Ashak.
All right, to press upon, oppress, violate. And this is what he does to us every day. All right, especially us Israelites, but to the world. All right, he's starting to press upon, oppress, violate the world. Although most of the world doesn't recognize this. All right, most of you Israelites don't recognize it. All right, do violence. Okay. Man, to get deceitfully, to wrong, to extort. Remember, they accomplish a diligent search. They search out iniquities. All right, extort. They use those things to extort people. To be exploited, to be crushed. All right. Man. Hmm. Okay, so let's go back here and do a little bit more reading. We read the state, let me see. Yeah, we read the state resistance. It says summary of current situation, January 2026. It says the mandate is now fully enforced as of May 7th, 2025, while approximately 94% of travelers have already obtained a compliant ID. The remaining population must now choose between getting a government standard ID or paying the recurring $45 penalty fee to fly. The TSA maintains this fare because it shifts the financial burden of verifying non-compliant travelers from the general taxpayer to the individual traveler. Okay, and we're not done. Lord willing, we have one more video with the same title. Okay, but as far as this video, all right, I know it was short and sweet. All right, Lord willing, it was came through as sincere and edifying. Okay, and with that, I want to say all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.